Hello, American student children. Time now for Article 1, Section 2, House of Representatives. Okay, it says, House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. Okay, so a simple thing there is every 2 years, House of Representative member gets re-elected, and anyone who votes for him is the same kind of person that could vote for person in state legislature. And the requirements are left up to the states. You will see that state legislatures get to decide many things in the Constitution. This is one of them. It is an idea of federalism, that you have a national government and then you have state governments. In federalism, they have overlapping authorities. They don't all do the same thing. But they also do some of the things that are the same, and that is where problem happens. But anyway, it now says, no person shall be representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. I love the double negatives. Basically, you must be 25 years old, be a citizen 7 years, and then you live in the state. Standard, how you're going to represent other people, boilerplate, it is similar to representation agreements around the world. So we move on. Next, it says here a part here where representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among several states, blah, 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 according to respective numbers. Okay, so they have to have all a census taken to know the population of the state. And each state will get representatives based on population. It says that they will add to that the whole number of free persons, and including those bound to service, excluding Indians, 3/5 of all other persons. Who are the other persons, you may ask? Slaves. That's right. Article 1, Section 1, entrenches interests of landowners. Article 1, Section 2, entrenches interests of slave owners. Duh. And you call this a democratic document. It looks like it is here to protect rich people and their power base. So the 3/5 compromise, it comes from, actually from Articles of Confederation. Earlier, the idea was, okay, we tax based on population. Big population, big tax. And so the states in the north said to the southern states, count the slaves as people. The states on the south said, no, they're not people. They are like animals. They are bought and sold. They count as no people. Argument happened. Person suggested, hey, compromise, make them count as 3/5 of a person. And I'm sure someone must have looked at him and said, you know, 3/5 of a person, seriously, where did you get this number from, the 3/5? Because it is not making the sense to me. Anyway. So it comes now time they are writing Constitution. And you have to know that as Constitution is being written, there are people arguing over exactly how to say every single phrase, the punctuation, the word choice, and all this. So they're counting up the peoples. And then the southern state said, well, the slaves should count 100%. The northern state said, what? When it's time to pay tax, they're not people, but suddenly you're going to get political power. They're all people. We don't like this. They should not count. And then they're arguing over the whole thing. Looks like no compromise will be made. They're all going to walk away mad. And then the compromise guy, 3/5? Okay, we all compromise, sure thing. Count them as 3/5 of the peoples. This is all overridden under 14th Amendment, Section 2, because that we don't have slaves no more with that. Anyway, the rest of this paragraph says they're going to have census within 3 years, and then they must have census every 10 years to determine population of states. The population of states will then determine how many representatives they get, how many electoral votes they get, and if a state gains in population, they get more representatives and electoral votes. If it loses population, well, it loses them. If it gains or loses population, then it goes to the state legislature to actually draw up the congressional districts, more or less. And when the state legislature does that, it is a very political fight, because whichever party controls the state legislature will then try to set up the state to make it safe for all other people of that political stripe. So anyway, Then the rest of this part here says, until we make the census, here's how they'll get representatives for each state. Okay, next line says, when the vacancies happen in representation from each state, the executive authority thereof, that means the governor of a state, will issue a writ of election to fill vacancy. So if a representative dies, if he resigns, if he goes to jail, then the governor of that state will then say, okay, to fill his seat, we have election on such a day. Then they have election. Okay. He will not appoint someone to fill the spot, not in the representatives. Then it says, the House of Representatives shall choose a speaker and other officers, and shall have sole power of impeachment. Okay, for impeachment, that means they can they can vote to say to any president or cabinet officer or judge in the federal judiciary, we don't like you no more, you are impeached. That means you go to trial to see if you keep your office. The Senate will try the impeachments, but the House will vote to approve, yeah or no, on the impeachment. Okay, now about choosing Speaker and other officers. Speaker of the House is very important. He controls the flow of legislation in the House. And the majority in the House will choose the Speaker. The majority in the House will then also be able to choose the chairman of every single committee, and they will choose the majority of the committee. Then the minority of the House will have a minority on each committee. Committees will take care of legislation. They will take on bills that belong to their specialization, their expertise. And then they will look at these bills and decide yes or no, should they keep going. If they say no, then the bill is said to have died in committee. And if a committee member is hostile to a bill, he will destroy it. This is why many interest groups will try to be good friends with committee members to make sure that bills they don't like die, and that bills they do like keep going. So yes, committees break up the work in the House because there are so many laws they have to deal with, thousands of them every year. How are you going to do that with just, everybody working on everything all at once? No, you have to specialize, you have to streamline, make it more efficient. So that is why we have committee system. But know this, the majority party in the House of Representatives will control the membership of each committee, the chairmanship of each committee. The minority party will have a few people on each committee, but their say will be overwhelmed. But being a majority party in the House of Representatives is a very big thing. Okay, so you know this now. Alright, so that is all of Article 1, Section 2, the House of Representatives. Next one is Article 1, Section 3, Senate. It's going to be a real humdinger of a thing. I'm looking down here to see which button I hit, because last time it was a different button. It looks like it's the one I hit the first time, so I'm going to go